Hello, parents. Welcome to episode 9 of the Masterful Parenting Podcast. Today, I want to talk about how we have the tough conversations that we need to have with our kids. You know, parenting is difficult, and there are going to be challenges and times when we may have to have these tough conversations with our children. I know with my children, I've had to have a few of them and it hasn't been easy. But one thing that's helped me is when I'm thinking about what I want to say to my kids, I try to word things so that my kids can hear my heart and my care for them. So recently, or not too recently, I had a conversation with my oldest son. He is an adventurer, and I've told my boys, our ancestry actually is we come from explorers. And so I'm not really surprised that my oldest has this longing for adventure. And it is really part of his DNA. But of course, like I have this parent fear, whenever he goes on a trip, because a lot of times he goes by himself. And so this parent fear really actually comes from my childhood pain. Because my parents were very overprotective of my brother and I, and they did not allow us to do a lot of things because of parent fear. I remember my mom wouldn't let my brother do football. She really discouraged extracurricular activities because she didn't want us to be in danger. And so this is like the upbringing that I had, this parent fear. And so with my own children, I've really had to try and fight that programming, that what I experienced as a kid. And I really have had to address it. So for me, my thinking was I really would I want my kid to have a a full life and to follow his heart for adventure because it is part of our lineage and it can't be denied. It's in his DNA. So this was my thinking, like, don't stop him because it is part of who he is. And this parent fear has actually brought me to a place of having some tough conversations with him. But I truly believe that we need to tell our kids what we feel and think honestly and completely. So over the years, I have had many of these kinds of talks with my oldest. And this is how I word things. I say, I'm worried about your safety. Have you taken all the precautions that have brought enough supplies for your trip? Um, I also say, I worry, so could you please text me when you arrive? And my oldest, he hears me and he doesn't want me to worry. So he's really, really good about texting me and letting me know when he's arrived safely on his adventures. But I've also had to have another tough conversation with him. When he finished high school, he had a girlfriend, and they were spending a lot of time together uh, at home when we weren't home. And I know parents, you can relate to this one. I've had to have a tough conversation with him about her not sleeping over. And I was just very honest with him. I said, I want you to know that we need to think about everyone in the family. And you have a younger brother. If he sees that your girlfriend is sleeping over, he will think that's okay. But I don't want him to get that message because I don't think it's okay. Now, I will tell you, parents, because my son and I have a really good relationship, we're very, very close. He was willing to hear me. So I did put a lot of work into connecting with him, loving him. So he knows that our relationship is a good one and a safe one. And so that we can both speak our minds and try and iron things out. But during that talk, which really, really surprised me, like this was actually a really tough talk for me to just be like open about, sex, having sex with your girlfriend, sort of thing. So I told him about my values. I said, I told him about my thoughts about sex and and I said that I believe that it should not be casual because it's really the sharing of your body so intimately with someone. So it should be with someone special that you care about, love, and maybe see a future with. And this is the way I was raised by grandma, I told my son. So now, and parents, I have no judgment. This is just, these are my values, which I wanted to share with my son. Everybody else has their own values. I'm not saying have this talk with your child. I'm saying this is what I did for me to have this conversation with my, adult child. Well, he's like just right out of high school. So these were my personal thoughts, which I shared with him. And I think it's really important to share your thoughts and your values with your children so they also, he- and also to hear their thoughts as well. And that night, I was surprised that my son agreed with me. And he shared his own observations about his friends and their relationships. And he never asked me again if his girlfriend could sleep over, because I think he got the message. He understood what my values were and why I didn't want it to happen. And so that night I planted a seed. And that's what we do as parents is we plant seeds, these ideas into our children's heads so that when they are doing things, that seed is planted there and they are going to be thinking about what we said. So I wanted him to be thinking more seriously, like about his actions, about this girlfriend. And that's what we do as parents. We plant seeds with the conversations that we have with our children. And also, as a school counselor, I've worked with hundreds of teens and I've learned how to have these tough conversations. Like, I've dealt with issues of bullying, sex, sexting, rape, breakups, contraception, family breakups, moves, divorce, and deaths in the family. And I've learned how to have these tough conversations. So, what I've learned is that the first step is to create a safe environment for our teen and children to speak and let them tell their story. And as they're telling their story, we refrain from judgment and fear. Now, parents, I will tell you, it's okay to express fear, but too much parent fear will stop our kids from talking. When our children feel that we're overly fearful, they won't talk to us. So we have to manage our fears and we have to be able to listen to what they have to say. The way we start the conversation is by asking a question. Why? Because questions invite conversation. So here are some questions that you can use to start the tough talk. Okay, so something is on your mind. Do you want to talk about it? Or you seem preoccupied. Is anything wrong? You seemed angry with dad today. How come? You were out all night and I was worried about you. What's going on? Another one is, now that you're dating, I'm worried about you getting pregnant. Is this something I should worry about? See, these conversations, these questions open conversation and they invite our children to speak. Now, if your child will not talk at that moment, like when you ask the question, then we know that our child doesn't feel safe yet to open up. And that's okay. No one should ever be forced to talk. What we want our children to talk to us willingly. So if this is the case, then say to your child, I love you and I'm here for you. So when you're ready to talk, please come to me because I want to help. You see that conversation, opening the door, but not forcing? That is what we want with our kids. Because that kind of conversation is planting that seed of maybe I can go to mom, maybe I can go to dad and talk to them about really what's happening with me. Okay. So here you planted the seed and your child will remember this invitation. So give your child space and let your child decide when to come to you. Don't be anxious about it. Just keep trying to connect and build a relationship while you're waiting. Okay. But this, you've already opened the door. and brought in the invitation. And it is up to your child to take that invitation or not. And in the meantime, you're building connection. You're talking. How are you, honey? How's everything going? I'm still here for you. I love you so much. I want to help, right? We have these conversations daily until our child feels safe enough to really have the tough talk with us. All right. And parents, we cannot protect our kids from everything. They're going to go out in the world. They're at school without us. Are in activities without us. When they're teenagers, we give them more freedom. They are not with us all the time. But what we can do is we can equip them, right? We can give them support. We can give them suggestions. We can help them to learn how to make good decisions. And we give them lots of opportunities to make good decisions and have those conversations, those tough conversations about their safety, about making good decisions, about not giving into peer pressure, about drugs and how drugs are bad for you, and smoking and vaping, what it does to your body. Like, this is so important to have these conversations ahead of time so that you're planting the seeds of them thinking about this, so when they are approached for by peers to do something, they will have that seed planted already. Like, mom and dad told me about this. They said it's actually not good for your body, or marijuana affects the brain, especially in adolescence, and can actually bring on schizophrenia. It's like, these are the conversations that you've had with your children before they get into those situations, so that you are planting the seed, giving them the information so that they can make good informed decisions. And that's really what we want to do. We want to plant those seeds ahead of time so that they are equipped when a situation arises and will know what to do and how to handle it. Okay, so let's recap these tough conversations. Okay, parents. So have those tough conversations. Don't be afraid. Okay, because remember, we're planting seeds in our children's minds so that those seeds are in there when a situation arises that maybe is not safe. Um, and then open the talk with a question. Okay, because when we open with questioning, we're inviting conversation, right? And then always express your love and your care for them. And then allow them to tell you what's going on without judgment, right? Just be there to listen. And if your child will not talk right away, be patient, but continue to connect and offer support, all right? Because they will. They will come to a place, once they feel safe enough, they will come to a place where they want to talk to you. All right. But we have to build that. We have to build that safety, that trust, that love, that care. And we have to always keep that invitation open. All right. I hope this helps, parents. I love you. And if you need any support, you can reach out to me. Okay. Take care, parents. Thank you. Bye bye.